Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thank you so much for joining me. So I'm back with my altered book. We're on the summer pages. This was the previous page. We are on the final page. Can you believe it? We are coming to the end. So this is the page that we've got for today. So to get this triangular shape, what it is this was a full page that I folded the corners down. So folded the corners there, and then just higgledy-piggledy just cut off the excess, because we don't need all of this excess, we just need a little bit. And what we're going to have here, with some glue across the middle, this is going to be a pocket and a pocket. So that's what that is going to be. So let's do the easy part first. Let's get our pages glued in. So I've already torn and inked around everything, cut everything out. I'm ready to go. So this is what we're doing. But as always, I do like to share what the theme of today is. So this page is inspired by walks that I do at the end of every summer, which are fruit picking walks. So here in the UK, certainly here in the countryside where I live, we are very blessed to have lots of woods and such like nearby. And in our case, we also have public orchards with signs saying that you can pick the fruit. And we've recently discovered a new one which had different types of apples. There were pear trees, there were blackberry bushes, there were sloe bushes for making sloe gin. Not something that we do, but the option is there if you want it. And this page is inspired by that. Basically, we picked all of this fruit and we made, crumbles and things with the fruit, and it was just really enjoyable to think that we were able to do something like that. So now we know where we're going every summer to find these apples and pears. They came out earlier this year compared to normal years, I suppose, because we did have quite a lot of heat waves over the past couple of months, more than usual on a summer in the UK. Usually there's a lot of rain, but not as much rain over the last couple of months. So September, now the weather's making up for it. But basically this page is inspired by us going on this fruit picking walk. So what I've got a page from my photographer's journey kit, I believe, and I think this is also from that same kit. This gives us a little bit of a map page. This just gives us an interesting writing page, and this is what we're going to do. So I've got those glued in nice and quickly, and I just need to go around and catch all of the edges as per usual. So stay tuned, we'll do the fun part in just a moment. Alright then, here and ready. So let's sort something with this pocket first of all. So I already mentioned about folding the corners down of the page and then just cutting off the excess. Now the book that I'm using, as I've said before, does not have the nicest of language. So I have cut out, torn out a different book page, which I'm happy to use, because I still want the text. I really, really do like the text for this page spread that I'm doing. So I'm going to use this as my page instead. So I think the easiest thing would be to pop some glue on the triangular part, and then I'm going to fold that book page around and then just cut around it. That's what I think I'm going to do. Or just cut out the excess. So keep it easy. That's what I like to say. Keep it easy every single time. So I'm just positioning that book page because I want, the text to be, nicely in position. Okay. And then just going to keep an eye on where this pocket is, and then just fold that as best I can. Is that keeping a straight line? Yes, I believe so. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some scissors and I'm just going to cut off this excess because we don't need all of this bulk. So it's a a bit of a weird angle because I'm trying to keep you on screen whilst also trying to work around the book itself, but just with a little bit of octopus arms, we will get there. And if I go quiet for a minute, it's just because I am concentrating. Okay, so again, just cut off that excess. And I'm just gonna squeeze around that. There we go. How are we looking? So I've got a little bit more excess to cut off in places. And I have some excess bulk here where the two pieces are joining. So I'm going to come in, and it's already made some grooves for me. It's basically just this little like rectangular bit which wants to tear off anyway. So, and then just cut that a bit neater. There we go. So now when I fold those edges down from the front side, we have this nice neat point going on. Lovely. Okay, right. What is going on with the rest of this? So again, I've got some excess, so I don't need any of that. So I'm just going to chop the pieces that I don't need. Again, if I've got octopus arms where I'm doing things at a funny angle, it's just because I need to be able to keep you in screen so you can see what I'm doing. Which sometimes for projects like this, you know, I'm not gonna lie, is not the easiest thing. But I'm basically just using the original page that was there. So this original page, I was just using that as a template, so I knew where to cut. So now when I finish gluing and putting this down, that looks just fine, doesn't it? Great. So glue. So I'm going to glue these pieces down from the original book page. Now it could be that you could have kept, you know, taken these off completely, but for me I felt like it would give the pocket excess strength, extra strength, which is always a good thing, because these original pages that I was using, so the original book, the pages are quite thin. So by folding things over when we make pockets and by adding extra papers and stuff, it's just adding that bit of strength. So when we're taking things in and out of the pockets, we won't have any issues with pages ripping or anything like that. Okay, just make sure that's going down. There we go. Just gonna make sure I haven't got any funny bumps, because that will add bulk that we just do not need in a project like this. Okay, more glue. More glue. There we go. Hopefully that was clear what I was doing. It's one of those things where, because I like to do things the easy way, or what I think is the easy way, where I'm not measuring anything, I'm not having to cut straight lines, I'm just gluing and cutting. I'm just going straight into it. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to see what I am doing, which I do appreciate. So all I would say to you is take your time with it, as always, and, you know, just cut pieces away until you're happy with what you've got, and just use that original page as a guideline, as a template. Now what I'm realising is I've completely forgotten to ink around these pages, I think. Usually I go in with my brush so that I get the grooves in here. But I realise I've been so excited to jump into showing you, I forgot to do it. So I'm just gonna do it afterwards. That'll be fine. There we go. So I might need to go in with a little bit of extra glue in places, but yeah, I can sort that later. So next job is I'm just going to ink this, not for any reason than just I like inked pockets. I think it looks good when you can see where the pocket, you know, starts and things. That's that. Lovely. So here is how we are going to do this pocket. So just like before, I'm going to come in with some glue down the spine, and I'm using strong glue, Beacon 3-in-1, Fabri-Tac, that sort of a thing. Nice chunk of glue in the spine, and then I'm going to switch to my little nozzle so that I can put a line of glue just across this middle. So I'm using this point of the pocket here, and I'm just probably doing about 2 or 3 lines, thin lines of glue like that. And then I'm just going to put a dab of glue at the top and bottom, so I know that everything is in there nice. And then I'm just going to lift up the page so that I can make sure everything's going down nice and straight, but also lifting this up like this when you're gluing your altered book. It just means that pages will be, you won't have any funny bumps in the spine. You know, your pages will be flatter, easier to work with in the long run. Okay, so that is how that is looking. So if I just demonstrate, what we now have is a pocket and a pocket. Cute, huh? Simple to do, cute. So I hope you like that one. Okay, so that is the basis of my page. So now we can get into the decorating part. So I have these pictures of pears and apples. As I mentioned, I am very much inspired by the walk that we did, and I would like these to actually be on the journal cards that are going to go in these pockets. I'm not going to make those today, but I'm just sort of putting them in so that you can see the vibe of how it's going to look. Will be these fruits essentially just sort of like poking out of the pocket kind of thing. So I'm just going to faff around with how that's going to look, because it's going to help me visualize, you know, what I'm doing with the rest of the page. But essentially that is how the fruit is going to be. So those are going to be journal cards to pull out, which we will do as ephemera another time, so stay tuned. Okay, oops daisy. So I've got the word nature here, which I've stamped on some tea-dyed card. So that is going to be simply there. I really like the book page that we're using, so that's going to be that. And I have this from my She Wonders kit, which is going to be some decoration here, and this brings in strawberries, which there were not strawberries on this particular walk, but we did have strawberries in the garden that we picked, well, this year and last year and possibly the year before in the summer months. So let's bring in some strawberries. Now I'm just going to glue this completely down as a fussica, as a decoration. And whoops-a-daisy, I'm going to, I just want to bring this down. So there is going to be excess strawberries here that I just need to chop into. That's going to be like that. And I've got some walking boots. Again, very much inspired by donning your walking boots, going out on your walk for fruit picking. Everything that we did that day really has inspired this one. And last but not least, I've got one of my labels, which is going to essentially act as like this little frame piece up here. Just check that I'm putting that down straight, which I am not, so drip drip drip. There we go. This is going to be another quick one because I was just very clued in with what I wanted for this page. I think it's handy when you're inspired by something, as much as I have been for some of these pages, You know, I love to tell a story, as a lot of you know, so it just helps you. It immediately you can sort of like start looking into pictures and things that you can use. So let me cut off these these excess strawberries, which when you're right-handed is easier said than done sometimes. Need to be left-handed to cut them out of this side, I think. Okay, there we go. So that is that. Alright then, so that's what I've got for that one. I've just gone around and just finished off the gluing and done the T-ring stenciling and splodges, just like I have been doing. So as I mentioned, the ephemera for this one is going to be these fruits on some journal cards, which I imagine I'll probably use similar paper to this map paper is what I'm thinking. But I will do some of the ephemera on video. I don't actually think there's much to do for the summer pages, because this is just a piece that's going to be backed onto some card. That's already filled. We need something for in here, this pocket here. These are not pockets. That I'm pretty happy with using that as the journal card. So yeah, we've just got a few journal cards to make, so I will do those on video very soon. And then yeah, that will be the summer pages completely finished. But you know, if you're not sticking around to the ephemera, this is essentially how it's going to look. And I think that goes nicely into the start of autumn, because I always knew that I wanted to finish on fruit. Originally, I wanted it to be blackberries, but because I went on this walk where there were the apples and pears, I really wanted to bring that in. I might be able to pop a few blackberries in the journal cards or something, maybe. But I think this leads on quite nicely. You know, we've got some of the sort of neutral and darker colours, you know, from the last couple of pages that we've done. And then we've got some of the sort of colours kind of reflected here with these, you know, bringing in some of the like autumn oranges and reds that you see, whilst still very much being summer. So that is just something that I wanted to share, because that is what I have been trying to do through this whole project, is just make sure that it flows quite nicely through the season itself, but also onto the next season and from the previous one, which I think it does. So that is that. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope that you've got lots of inspiration for altered books as part of this series. So I will be back soon to do some ephemera. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye for now.